Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we'll be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, winelands businesses, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Hi everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today I'm speaking to Zunia Boucher-Myers from Avontuur Restaurant in the beautiful town of just outside the beautiful town of Stellenbosch. Hi Zunia, welcome to About the Winelands.
Hi, Will. Thank you very much for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. I mean, you have such a lovely place there, and you must be glad that you can finally maybe start reopening again.
Oh, we are very relieved. We cannot wait. And we are actually opening on Wednesday of next week. So very excited for that. It's been a lovely break, but it's time to get back to work.
I can believe you. So Zunia, I'm interested. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you became involved in the food restaurant business.
Okay, well, I'm trained as a fine artist, and I've always had three things that I've wanted to do. I've wanted to be a writer, an artist, and a chef. And I'm lucky that I have done all of those things in the work that I do, because I write, I do our own marketing, and I take the photos of our food and the beautiful farm on which we have our restaurant. And my business partner, Melanie, is a trained midwife. So she comes with the A-type personality, and I love to say I come with the ADD type personality, and together we make a really great team.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
it sounds like food and art always seems to go together somehow, right? And I mean, I've been at your restaurant. Your food is a bit of art. I love it.
Oh, thank you. We believe that you eat with your eyes.
That is true.
So so food must look beautiful, and it must taste as good as it looks.
So how did you guys become involved in the restaurant at Avontuur?
Well, I worked at Vale as the pastry chef, and Melanie, my business partner, was the executive chef there. And we were approached by the late Tony Tabor, who was the owner of the Avontuur estate many years ago. And he wanted to have a fine dining style restaurant. And he approached Mel, and she approached me, and together we went and had a look at it. And we just fell in love. What was there not to love? This beautiful wine estate, and it's also a stud farm, so all these beautiful mares with these beautiful white iceberg roses as you drive up the driveway. A visually very beautiful farm because it's on the foot of the Helderberg mountain. And so yeah, we've been very, very lucky to have a location where we have it. It's just magnificent. You know, you've been there, so you know.
Well, it's I mean, you've got a right spot there on the R44. So, you know, it's the farm the place advertises itself. You've got the perfect signboard because that road is quite busy. But
Yes.
Avontuur itself, I mean, since I can remember, there's been a stud farm there.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit of the history of the farm. Do you know it?
Yes, I don't know all the history because it's a very old farm. I think it's the original documents go back to about 1880, somewhere around there. But the Tabors took the farm over in the early 1980s, and they were originally from Zimbabwe. And they saw the potential to have a wine estate as well as a stud farm because Tony just loved the two together, the combination of horses and wine. The blurb is fine horses and fine wines and fast horses. Sorry, I got that the wrong way around.
And fine horses and fast wine.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And I love to say fabulous food. So all the alliterations happening there. But he just saw the potential of having a stud farm there. And today we have two of the most incredible stud horses in South Africa. We have VAR and we have Oratorio, and the two of them are sure, we have a lot of prizes and fantastic jockeys, and the two best studs in South Africa currently on the top 5 as far as I know. So wow. In that way, the GM, who's also a lady, Pippa Mickleborough is one of the most, I'll call her a horse whisperer, because she can look at the horses as she drives past, and she can just see what's going on with them. She is, I think books will be written about her one day, because she is the most incredible person who has put South African horses on the map in many, many ways. I better not speak too much about the horses, because I don't know. It's all my own emotions speaking here, and my knowledge about
it's here. Go on. It's interesting. I love
it. She's truly an amazing horse person. I don't really know very much about the horses. It's not where my passion lies. But having been there for nearly 20 years, you see the horses grow and how they go on to win races, and how it's just an amazing, the what do you call it, the history and the lines, like these horses side these foals and these fillies, and this is what they've gone on to do. It's very, very interesting. And if you are a horsey person, what we do once a year is we allow you to come and meet the foals. We do what we call our mare and foal walk, and you can come and have a look at them. And Pippa or Philip Tabor or Michael Tabor, the two boys that now run the farm, might be one of your guides. So it just depends on which day you might get them. And it's fascinating to listen to what they have to say. So look out for that, because that's an amazing thing to be part of, because it's only once a year, and it's the amount of people we allow in is very small. So diarize that as soon as you see it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I actually haven't heard about that before. So did you guys start that restaurant from scratch?
We did.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, we did. And the restaurant initially was run by two ladies that did a South African style buffet. And then what they did was they would cook the food at home and then bring it in the morning. And what Mr. Tabor wanted was the actual sit down a la carte menu, a la carte restaurant. And so we started there with no kitchen, no restaurant as such, and we've built it up with one staff member in the kitchen, one waiter, to a group or a staff of roughly 21 in the summer. And we've been there for nearly 20 years now. So it works beautifully. It's a symbiotic relationship that we have with the estate. We've watched the two boys grow into the three boys. There's three of them grown into the men that they are today. And we have a really wonderful relationship with our landlords. We are very, very blessed, I have to say.
Well, it's
so
nice.
Mr. Tabor wanted, So just a little recap, he approached Melanie, my partner, as I said, my business partner, and he said, come and have a look, see what you think. And she just fell in love with it and said, what do you think? I said, I'm in. And the rest, they say, is history. So we started with one waiter, one member of staff in the kitchen, and the two of us.
Okay.
So,
wow. So do both of you cook, or are you more on?
Yeah.
Okay. So you both design the menus and cook and everything.
We are a real 50-50 team. We do everything together. We design the menu. We often fight about the menu because our tastes are very different. And so Mel doesn't like tomatoes, for example. I love tomatoes. And so we often say no, yes, no, yes. And then we have to have other people taste the food and help us to decide what we'll put on the menu. But there's certain things that will never, ever come off our menu that are evergreen items. For example, our duck, we're known for our duck. We'll never ever take our duck off the menu. And our deep fried ice cream, I think that will be, we'll have riots if we ever had to take that off the menu.
So that's interesting, right? I've had a duck before, but I've never had it. It's definitely a reason to go back. I've seen it, but I've never thought, just shows you.
It's absolutely delicious. It's ice cream that's wrapped in phyllo pastry and deep fried, and we serve it with the most delectable caramel sauce. And it's very, very, very good.
Sounds wonderful. So your food philosophies, how would you describe that?
I would say that for me, what is the most important is that the food looks and tastes brilliant. and that our food is as healthy as we can make it. So we don't use things like MSG or aromat or any funny flavorings. Our food is real food. We make it fresh. We make it daily. So we don't like to use anything that comes out of a packet. And we just believe, our food philosophy is as healthy as we can. And I think it shows in our portions and in the flavor that you get, that you can taste. This is really a great meal. You can taste the flavors. And we also don't like to fiddle too much garnishing and too much detracting. We like the food to be the hero.
It's amazing.
And also we really like to use ours, and we try to use organic and pasture reared as much as we possibly can. I think that's the way the world's moving, part of Melanie and my philosophy, to try and implement and include as many of those kinds of foods as we possibly can.
Oh, that's very cool. Your customers, are they tourists, locals? What do they look like?
No, we've never ever marketed it, because our business is so to all your beautiful swallows, and then they leave you in winter, and then you're left with no business. So our demographic has always been our local business, and the pudding has been our overseas visitors. So a lot of them are retired and really love to dine and wine and bring families along, and to just really enjoy a laid back, comfortable eating experience at a restaurant with a beautiful view. And I must say, we've had our staff for as long as we've been open, a lot of them. So our staff know our customers by name, and they just love that. They love coming in and they say, your regular or your usual or your bottle of Chardonnay, and our guests just love that. They love being greeted by name.
Well, that's now you're mentioning the bottles, and that's awesome that they can do that, right? So, wine is important for a good dining experience. So,
absolutely.
How do you actually choose your wines? Do you only use Avontuur wines, and how do you serve with the food?
Well, the whole idea of opening a restaurant was to showcase our wines, and we have a brilliant winemaker who's just won 4 new golds at, I can't tell you right now because it's actually a secret.
Oh, okay.
But he's just won 4.
You can tell us. I won't tell anybody. But unfortunately, I'm recording it. It's going to be on the internet. So.
No, that's all right. I'm only kidding. It's all good. It's all good. He's just won prizes for our beautiful wines, and that was what Tony wanted in the beginning, was to have a restaurant that could showcase his wines. So all our wines our food items are paired with our wines from the estate. We only sell our estate wines, and we work very closely with the winemaker and with our marketing lady who's not with us anymore, Kobie van Oort, and who will be sorely missed, I must say. But with the wines, we like to pair the food with the wines, because that's the whole idea. You want this whole experience. Your senses must be just, one beautiful experience after the next. And how much nicer can you get than a wine that marries well with your food?
No, absolutely. Like I said, that place, I've had a few of those wines as well. They're very, very good. So something else you guys are doing is called the Avontuur. I actually didn't know you guys have this, the Avontuur Business Club ABC, which looks like a breakfast club.
It is.
Yeah, tell us more about this.
Oh, this is one of my favorite parts of our business, and that is running the network breakfasts. And what we do is we get the best speakers we can find in South Africa, and even we've had international speakers too, that come and speak to our members about all the different themes that go along with business. So it could be managing your time better, or your tax implications for small businesses, or you name the topic. We've had it in the last 15 years, because we've been running the Breakfast Club for probably 16 or 17 years now. And we've had people like Mike Hancock, the top speaker in Australia. We've had Al Nabusak. We've had Margaret Hirsch. We've had some amazing people come through our doors. And what's lovely is that we don't charge a membership fee. We believe that the very people we want to benefit from our network breakfasts are the ones that quite often are self-employed, solo entrepreneurs, and membership fees are expensive. So all that they pay for is their breakfast, and we take care of the rest. And it's very popular.
So that's very interesting. Do you find that those people become long-term customers from the restaurant and also from, for your wines?
Sure, Vil, that's a really good question, because the answer to that is yes. You know, because we host these breakfasts every month. You can imagine over the last 17 years how many breakfasts we've hosted,
Yeah, that's what
and
I
how
was
many
thinking.
speakers we've had. They become friends, and they become long-term loyal customers of ours. You know, they come back in the summertime with families, or they host weddings or christenings or birthday parties, and that's how we've maintained our business. We've always believed in a reciprocal sort of ethos, really, you know, where what you give is what you get. Actually, our business name, our CC business name, is called the Open Hand.
And that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's what we believe in. Yeah.
So that's a very interesting business philosophy, because, and I think it's it's one of those hidden secrets that I always call it pushing the free line. If you give people more than they expect, or give something for free, and like you say, you're giving, you don't charge for this networking for breakfast. It's actually a very, very good marketing ploy. Or
And
not a
yes,
ploy,
it
it's
really
just good
is.
marketing, because you actually
It
can
is.
show your customers that you care about them. And,
And what we do
people appreciate
is
that.
we give them, absolutely, and we give them one of our breakfasts, what we actually serve as a breakfast. We don't pare it down or make it smaller, or network breakfast food is horrific at the best of times.
That's
I've had
true.
some
Yeah.
terrible meals, and our philosophy is completely different. We give the best that we can make. So and then people know that this is what they're going to get, and it's so divine. And I think a lot of people actually come back for the breakfast, not for the networking.
So is there wine at this breakfast? I just want to make sure there's wine at this breakfast.
There's always champagne.
Okay.
There's always champagne. I think one of the questions that you asked me is like, what is a wine saying for me? And that is that champagne goes with everything.
That is true. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't say it better. So do you guys do any other events?
Oh, we do. We do themed events sometimes in summertime. Like we've hosted a most wonderful and fun Mamma Mia night, which was a dress up. I think we are starved for fun. And so we try and do a lot of fun events. We do women's events where we get women in to empower other women, and it works with the same sort of idea as the network breakfast, but specifically for women. And themes are inspire, empower, joy, those kind of ideas, where we get people from our communities to come and participate, influencers, people that have a lot to say and to give on many levels. And then we have obviously goodie bags and beautiful makeup and lots of wine flowing. It's a lot of fun. And of course, we host events for everybody, from christenings right through to memorial services. We are part of people's history, and we are part of those sort of memories that people have. And we are very lucky to be part of those stories.
Well, that's awesome. So tell me, I'm just wondering, you mentioned not only events, but also, actually, I've now completely forgot what I wanted to ask you. All right,
I'm glad it's not just me.
It'll come back to me. Things have changed such a lot this year with the coronavirus, and everybody has been forced to change their business models. So have you guys, well, or at least rethink it? Have you guys come up with any ideas or any new plans?
Well, we have to obviously rethink what we're doing because just from a practical perspective. And so when we open next week, we will be running with a smaller menu just to get started with, because we don't really know what to expect. Are we going to have 50 people? Are we going to have 20 people? Are we going to have no people? So it's very hard to know what to do. And so we're going to just open with as much faith as we can muster. And we're going to run with a smaller menu and a smaller staff, just like we did before we had the lockdown, where we had to go, smaller and move our tables and all of that. So it will be very much the same. But yeah, in many ways, this has been a great opportunity to look at what you're doing and see what you can do different. We've been on the hamster wheel for 19, nearly 20 years. And what can often happen is that you can kind of just get caught up with the momentum. And this lockdown has given us a chance to step off and to relook at what we're doing and what we want to do. And also, what do we really want to do differently? We've got 20 years experience to look back on. Maybe we can make some changes. So the first thing that we've done is we've actually painted the restaurant just to give it a fresh new feel. And we're going to change all the pictures, and we're going to just make it look clean and beautiful and lovely. And I think just from a sort of spiritual perspective, it changes things. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I understand exactly. It's like
yeah.
like I say, change is as good as holiday, and I think that's right. I think in this scenario where people would like just to see. I think there's something to say to go back to things that that you are used to, but also to have places change and looking progressive. I think that is great.
Yeah. Well, we have to change, menus and things like that. So we just decided that we would go with this really clean, beautiful look. I'm a photographer as well, so I've got 20 years worth of beautiful photos of this estate, which I have to say is truly, a photographer's paradise, because every day is different and every season is just better than the last. So we're going to, just give a new feel to an old favorite.
So did the lockdown give you some time to sort your photos that you never got time for?
The 50,000 photos, hell.
Oh my word. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of photos. Well, we've done some lovely new things. We've done some wallpapers with, when you do big take a picture and you make it as big as the wall.
Yeah.
So we've done that. That's really beautiful. But
Wow.
yeah, we're going to go with we've got a few photos to look through and make some decisions. Yeah.
So actually, just remembered what I wanted to ask you. You mentioned influencers, and I was wondering, you said you do the marketing for the restaurant and stuff like that. Do you and this I think falls in with what's happening, right? Everybody now are even more on their phones and on online than they've ever been before. So do you guys use things like social media and influence and marketing and stuff like that in your business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are on every platform that there is, from Instagram to Pinterest. We have a very big following on Instagram as well as on our Facebook page, and a very what is the word I'm looking for? When you have a lot of back and forth. I can't think of the word.
Engagement.
Anyway, engagement, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. So there's a lot of engagement, and I always say in my kitchen, I'm the only one who's allowed to be on my phone, because I'm the one who's actually speaking to our customers out there in the big world. And yeah, we are very, 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 well, let's put it this way. I love social media. I think it's one of the funnest, most quickest way to engage with your clientele.
Well, I think the magic word there is engagement, because most people think social media is you post something and you forget about it, but actually it's not. It's talking to people, answering their comments and actually speaking to them, and it's like the fastest way, like you say, to actually talk to people. You can start today and talk to 100 people if you really want to. You
Absolutely.
just need to
Well, I
make
have
the
to
effort.
say, in all our years of having our restaurant, we've never paid for marketing. Um, we've never gone with a big marketing campaign or,
Hmm.
spend 20,000 Rand on marketing. We've never done that. We've always used what's called guerrilla marketing. I don't know if you know the term,
Yeah.
but I am like the ultimate guerrilla marketer.
So every
So,
time if you say the word guerrilla marketing, I think about, the guys do it at the rugby stadiums. You're sitting there, next minute there's people jumping up in yellow T-shirts that were supposedly come to watch the rugby, but meanwhile they bought the tickets was paid for by some marketer that wanted
uh,
to advertise a new cell phone or orange juice or whatever.
well, I don't know if that's guerrilla marketing as much as harassment.
That's true, right? That's more like
But yeah.
jumping onto somebody else's bandwagons, a type of
Oh,
marketing. Mm.
absolutely. No, I think I think for me, guerrilla marketing is just about being consistent and showing up all the time. And
Well, like you said, engagement with your customers, right?
yeah.
Actually talking to them, asking them what they want, and then giving that to them in their products. I think that is the
Mm,
most
mm,
important thing.
mm. Absolutely. And it's such fun, if you post something, say I posted a picture of a chocolate mousse last week, and the people just love it. People love food pictures. It always amazes me. They
Well,
love to look at them as much as they love to eat them.
Instagram is just a wonderful place for food, right? And I think
Mm.
you as a photographer, obviously, it speaks to you as well, and you appreciate the platform for the visual. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's absolutely a
Some
visual
very
platform.
talented people.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Anyway, so the most important thing that you've learned from your journey there at the restaurant and in the winelands.
Ooh, that's a big question. I think consistency. I think if I've learned anything about about being an adult and working, at a job that's fairly stressful and demanding, um, but also incredibly fulfilling, is consistency. In order to maintain your level of customers and to make people happy, you have to produce the same standards every single time. And I think that can get a bit tricky because some days are good days and some days are bad days. But for the most part, you've got to get it right 99% of the time. So for me, it's been about consistency, passion and consistency. Yeah.
And that's awesome. So you cheated by giving me your champagne quote right in the beginning. But that's great. So tell us, if people want to get hold of you guys, how did they get hold of you?
Well, obviously, we're on social media. We're on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. We have our own page, the Avontuur Estate Restaurant. On Instagram, also Avontuur Estate Restaurant. They're all the same, and Twitter, as well as Pinterest. But right now, our phone lines are down, so I'm going to give you an alternative number if anybody wants to phone and reserve for next Wednesday. Can I give it to you?
Yes, please do.
The number is 083 508 1525, or you can email us at openhand@polka.co.za.
I love that open hand one. So we'll put all the links down in the description so people can get that, and I'll make sure the phone number are in there as well.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, Zunia, are you doing anything special now that you're opening that you want to tell listeners about, or what?
I think the fact that we're opening is special.
That's
We're
true,
just so
right?
happy to be opening. So we're not doing any specials as such. We'll just be running with our menu just slightly smaller. And yeah, we cannot wait to see our friends and our loyal customers again because we've missed them a lot.
Okay, I'm sure they're going to flood you because I think people want to get out and people want to go to places. So as long
Mm.
as you haven't taken the duck off the menu, I think everything will be fine.
Our takeaway menu as well, and it's the most popular, and it's a winner. You can't say it's delicious.
Yeah, no, I can vouch for that. Zinia, thank you very, very much for spending the time with us. And yeah, I mean, we will put, like I said, we'll put all the links down in the description, and we appreciate, I know you're busy, so thank you for spending the time. Yeah.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you so, so much for having me. I've enjoyed our chat.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description.
Hi, Patrick James Robertson from the Fishwives Club Boutique Winery. Just had a fantastic swim here at Camps Bay Tidal Pool. You can see behind me here the 12 Apostles. It's absolutely stunning. Really beautiful scenery here in Cape Town. The water's nice and chilly on the Atlantic side. It's perfect for swimming and really waking all parts of you up. But my message today, we have another lockdown on sale of alcohol, and really the South African businesses are really suffering under these really draconian measures that our government is taking, and we believe incorrectly, and there's a lot of protests going on to save South African businesses and all the people it employs, because there's just no support from the government at all, and yeah, we have to fend for ourselves. And my message out there to business owners and entrepreneurs is that we just got to work together and look out for each other and pull together. This is when it really counts, and this is what we do best, is pull together and support each other, and buy from the family-owned businesses and buy from the smaller businesses, the businesses that have families putting food on the table, uniforms on their children, and basically the struggle's real for so many business owners and for people in these circumstances. So my message is also to just persevere. It's really tough, but this is what makes you. Makes you or breaks you, and you've got what it takes to pull through, and you've got everything you need, even though it doesn't seem it. We've just got to have faith and dig deep and pull through, and we will pull through, and we will succeed. We will get through it. We'll survive, one way or the other. So just have faith, love each other, support each other, and let's get through this together. Let's win together.
Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to influencers and leaders in the wine industry, winemakers, restaurants, and other businesses. Tune in every Wednesday and Friday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss out. Now, to get on with the show. Good day, everyone. Welcome back to About the Winelands. Today, I'm talking to Pardon Taguzo from African Wines. Good day, Pardon.
Good day, Will. How are you?
I'm great. You are currently sitting in The Hague in the Netherlands, also under a lockdown, and must be quite exciting times over there, if you can put it that way.
Yeah, well, it's excitingly devastating times in terms of business-wise and also
Yeah.
social life as well. Because we've also gone under social distancing. Not really lockdown per se. The Netherlands has a different approach to this whole pandemic. So we mainly doing social distancing, but we've also closed most businesses that has quite a huge number of gatherings, etc. Restaurants, hotels, events, and also the conferences as well that have been cancelled, and business has been on standstill.
Oh, amazing. So, Pardon, let's start off with something more, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became involved with the wine industry.
How I became involved with the wine industry. It's quite a very interesting story. Well, I'm Zimbabwean originally, and just like any other young Zimbabwean, during the time when things were not going really well, the economy was actually taking a huge knock in Zimbabwe. Decided to visit the Cape where my sister was actually based. And when I got to the Cape, it was actually in 2010, and I happened to just work at a hotel as a runner, and then after that, I got the excitement, but my visa to stay at that time was just a visitor's visa, which lasted me for only about a month. And after that, I had to go back. I had to go back home. So when I got back home, I started thinking about this short experience which I had. Obviously, coming uh, from 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 a background that I'm quite very active in social scenes. I like to socialize with people, and that small duration of time when I was actually working at the Royal Hotel for those 3 weeks uh, gave me a different perception to the world, that I can still engage in people doing what I like to do and still earn money out of it. So then I came back to South Africa officially now, on a working visa. And fortunately enough, I got a job again at the same hotel, which is Royal Hotel in Ruby Castell. Um, and I was actually a runner. They got me in as a runner, but coming from an academic background, you always want more, and you always want to achieve more. So for me, being a runner was like, okay, yeah, okay, it's the beginning. So what's next? But I actually rose quickly through the system there. I was understanding the systems, how it works. I was also understanding as well how to talk with guests, and I I was also quite friendly to people, and I was also earning quite a lot of tips for someone who was actually just arrived. So then I was offered a waiter's job. Then I started picking up tables. Um, After picking up tables, I also was switched from picking up tables, and I went behind the bar as well. I went behind the bar and got a little bit of an insight about the drinks, which when I got to the hotel, I didn't have any idea about alcoholic drinks, because I was coming from a Christian family, which means that drinking alcohol was actually not was actually prohibited. You could not drink any alcohol beverages, or even smoke. But then I had the experience of actually working in the bar, and also waitering tables as well, and I got the fascination of hearing people actually explain wine, because the guys that I've been working with, they have been at the hotel for minimum almost like 7 years, and they could understand wines, and they could know and want to learn more. So I asked the guys, okay, so how do I get into knowing about all these flavors that you're talking about this wine? And just as colleagues, and with also the appreciation which from the hotel owners as well. My colleagues were not that willing to give away the information that where could I actually go and study and do the studies, and actually become, thanks to Google, I actually looked it up and enrolled myself at Cape One Academy. And I remember in that time I used to travel with the train from Rebecca-Still to Stellenbosch, Klapmats, and I would walk from Klapmats down to close to the mall zone there. That's where the classes were being done. And then after that, I would do the same routine again.
Wow.
So, and then when I did my introductory certificate, and then after that, I went also to do my certificate level 2 as well, and then I proceeded also. Then I met Kathy Marston. Kathy Marston, who is actually doing the WSCT, running the WSCT program in South Africa. And she introduced me to WSCT. Then I was like, okay, wow, this is something interesting, because of course I was thinking of not just South Africa as the place for me to explore wine business. I was actually thinking globally. And when she pitched the idea to me that, okay, WCT is actually being recognized in over 60 countries in the world, then that actually struck me by I actually grew an interest, and then I also enrolled with the WCT as well. Then I did my courses until level 3. And then whilst I was doing this, I was still actually working in Rebecca-Still, where I just also moved from the hotel, and then I went to a very nice, cozy Italian restaurant in the valley, which is called Mama Cucina. Then I started off there, building my first wine list. I started off a wine program there. And I also started off some food and wine pairings as well for that restaurant. Thankfully to Kuni and Johan, they actually trusted me at that time to actually take care of that part. But yeah, and I was never meant to stay at one place, which also my bosses then, Kuni and Johan, were very they were very open about me that if we know you're actually pursuing a career in wine, if you have anything opening, please do take it. We don't want to hold you. We don't want to hold you to the same position. If you want to grow, you have to grow. So yeah, fortunate enough, I also got an offer from our aubergine restaurant, which is in Cape Town, where I then started working there as an assistant sommelier. And also I was now exposed to more wines. We used to run a wine list. We shared about 650 listings on the list, and with a very huge seller of about 17,500 bottles, which is probably the best seller in the Western Cape. Then I also started competing as well. I was the runner-up of 2017 Best Young Sommelier in South Africa.
Awesome.
And then after that, we also went to participate in the World Blind Tasting Championship as a team of 4 Zimbabwean sommeliers.
Yes. I saw the Zim sommeliers. Tell us a bit more about them.
Yeah, well, so there is a competition which is being run by Jean-Vincent Ridon, which is the South African Wine Tasting Championship. So basically you go from regionals, and then you also go to the nationals as well. But the rules of the competition is any of the team can only bring one foreign national into their team. So when I participated in 2017, I was actually in top 5 best testers in the Western Cape. It also happens that we also have enough Zimbabweans as well that were in the top 15. So ideally, it was very wise for us to actually create a Zimbabwean team and just represent Zimbabwean team, rather than all of us just fighting for one spot into getting into Team South Africa. So we did that, and we actually went on the journey to France, and we competed, which was the first time, and we did not have enough preparation. We came 23 out of 24. That's basically about Zim Soms, and it's actually a team which is made of 4 sommeliers.
An awesome story.
At that time, I was still working. Yeah, it is an awesome story of wine, bringing people from different walks of life together.
Well, also from a country like Zimbabwe, which doesn't really have a wine history.
Yeah. We basically do not have a vast wine history, but we have up to now I think about 4 wineries in Zimbabwe that not really that successful in actually making wines, and also exporting wines as well. So basically, I can say the wine culture is not there. Me for instance, I never grew up knowing that, okay, we're gonna have dinner and then we're gonna have a bottle of wine at the table, even though I was young at that time, and my folks also did not have that kind of culture as well, let alone beer. So it is quite a unique turn and shift.
Okay, so you then at the aubergine restaurant. So how did you get involved with? How did you progress from there? And tell us the story about African wines and how that happened.
Yeah, well, African wines was actually an idea which was birthed. It was like 2.5 years ago. I was still working at aubergine restaurant, and I met this couple that came into the restaurant with with their two sons. It was actually the fastest table I had to serve. When you go out as a family, you really want to relax, you want to enjoy your meal, and you want to make the most time of it, especially when you're on holiday. So this couple came in, and they were actually sitting upstairs, and I was called by one waiter that they needed somebody's assistance. So I went there, and I greeted them, and they told me that what we would like to have a nice bottle of red wine from South Africa, and they were all having a springboard. And at that time, I was actually thinking, okay, this is actually a traveling family. Obviously, they're not here to blow the budget. They want something which is quite comfortable with the budget, but also delivers as well with their meal. So then I recommended them Dunkin' Service red blend, which they liked very much. And after that, I was actually in conversation with the other son, and he was trying to offer me a job in front of my chef, and which was quite very interesting, because I was like, okay, come on, man, you cannot be saying such things in front of my boss. But then we kept contact, and this feMily is actually based here in the Netherlands, and they own a few restaurants, and they've been in the restaurant business for quite a while. And so we kept on talking, and prior to that, when we were about to go for the Blind Tasting Championship, which Janssens Robinson had helped us to actually do a crowdfunding. They were also the major donors of the crowdfunding for us to go to France. So yeah, and they also extended a trip visit as well from France to the Netherlands. That's when we sat down and we started talking what could be best, what could we do together, what projects should we do. And at that time, I always had thought about South African wines being making really a good mark into the world of wines, and I always had thought that they are not well represented, because the entry level you get in Europe, either from a supermarket, it either gives you a good impression or it gives you a bad impression, and you don't have also other different wines which are coming from very small independent producers, which are also focusing on a bit more quality than quantity. It's either you were getting a very entry level wine, or you get a premium wine which is super expensive. So yeah, so then I pitched the idea that, okay, what I would like to do is to actually move into distribution of wine. So yeah, just like that, and then we actually started off African wines, where I had to build up a portfolio of wineries from the Cape, but literally from very small independent producers, and from producers that are also involved in social responsibility of their communities as well, and also giving back to the community, and also aware of the dangers of what the world and the plants are in as well. And yeah, and that just happened, and we commenced our business 2 years ago.
Oh, that's amazing.
Just a quick interruption.
But I do need to remind you that we are currently in a very difficult time. The South African government has set up a fund where businesses and individuals can donate to support our country through this crisis. Go to the website now and add your small donation. www.solidarityfund.co.za. Please join us all in the fight against COVID-19. That is at www.solidarityfund.co.za. Now, let's get on with the show. So, are you guys only selling in the Netherlands?
No. It's thanks to the EU. You have quite a very good free movement. Currently, we are selling in Belgium. We're selling in Austria. We also selling in London as well. A little bit of that. And we're also selling now in South America as well, and we also selling in Germany as
well. Oh, that's amazing. So, Paul, I see that I've noticed that you import from all over South Africa. How do you choose your wine? I mean, building a portfolio is from all over South Africa is quite a job.
Yeah, it's quite a job, man. So, so basically, like I told you, the fundamental principles of building this portfolio, which my business partner also was very keen in that, Belinda and Damiano Dialga, was mainly given back to the community, and which is what is also lacking in the wine business here in Europe. So basically, we wanted to gather around wineries that do social responsibilities, wines that are being made from the wineries that are disadvantaged because they do not probably have the budgets to bring out their wines out, and wineries that also have really good wine that also counts, but also really good story as well, because everyone now is moving away from the norm of talking about the political jargon of the acidity, the tannins. People want to hear what's going to make them feel good if they purchase this bottle of wine. What is it going to change in someone's life if they purchase that bottle of wine? So that was like the fundamental principles where we were building the portfolio from.
Oh, that's amazing! I saw it on your website. There is a charity button, and that explains a bit more about it. So I assume that all your wineries that you are representing have some kind of a social responsibility type of angle.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I can run you through just one example.
That would be great.
We have on the portfolio the winery which is called Black Elephant Vineyards. It is based in Franschhoek, and this is actually the coming together of three partners, which is Raymond Love, Kevin Swartz, and also Jacques Fensel. So basically, what this whole corporation is part of the BEE, which is the Black Empowerment Policy, which also the government is also supporting. And this winery, what they do, they have what is called the miracle dream, where they actually teach kids in the Franschhoek Valley how to preserve water. Due to the drought in Cape Town, which hit us a couple of years ago. So they actually teach them to recycle water. Say for instance, the water that you actually use for your dishes, you don't have to throw it away. You can actually use it for your garden. And it's quite fundamental because that's how you can actually change things when you actually teach the kids, because they will feel actually the responsibility to actually take up such projects, and they do this project, which some of their wines which they have in their range, when they're purchased, they actually channel funds to sustaining that project. So that's quite a very interesting point, and interesting charity that we actually run with. They actually run themselves.
Oh, awesome. So if any of our listeners out there is a wine producer and would be interested to work with you, what do they need to do? And do you have any other specific requirements?
Well, not really specific than other the fundamentals which I've been which I've just alluded to. Besides that as well, the wine has to be good, man. We here also to make sure that our customers here have the best wine at the best value, and it's not necessarily that they have to get a mortgage to actually buy a bottle of wine. They need to appreciate more South African wine, so we need to have all different categories and price points for them to start the culture of thinking of South Africa as a first choice when they get to a wine store or a supermarket in the EU.
Well, that's awesome. Pardon, now we're sitting with a situation with the coronavirus, and it's forcing everyone to rethink their business model. Do you have any changes or new ideas in mind?
Yeah, it's we actually now getting. This is now the point where personally I think we are being socially prepared because of this pandemic. Um, this is when you actually need innovation. Selling more online is actually the only thing that will actually make businesses survive at this moment. And besides that, because from my point of view, we have like 99% of our business which is actually stuck up in restaurants. But now this is where we have to be innovative, start selling more online, start doing deliveries, and also start doing a lot more promotions online as well, to just keep the audience knowing about the brand, and also knowing where they can buy the wines and what best value they can actually get from such initiatives.
Okay, excellent. So, pardon, your wine journey has been quite an interesting story. What is the most important thing that you've learned from your wine journey?
Yeah, well, the most important thing that I've learned from my journey is to have a thick skin and stay humble, have a thick skin, and just most of the times listen to yourself, and just throw yourself out there, work hard. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. If you never try, you never know.
Awesome. So my last question for you is, can you give us your very own wine quote? Or your
I think you
favorite
saw
one?
it in my. I think you saw it in my email, the one I sent you. In wine, there is truth.
In wine,
Because I believe,
yes.
yeah, in wine there's truth, because I believe wine is a reflection of a religion, it's a reflection of a culture, it's a reflection of who we are as human beings. It's art. So there is always the truth in wine.
Awesome. Gordon, thank you so much for talking to us. If people want to get hold of you guys or want to know where you are, how do they do that?
We are available on mostly social platform mediums. We are available on Instagram. It's African Wines NL, and our email address as well is info@africanwines.nl. Besides, they can get to me directly as well at pardon@africanwines.nl. We're also on LinkedIn as well as African Wines, and we're also on Facebook as African Wines as well.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll be putting your links all in the description anyway, so people can find it there. Well, thank you very much for your time and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much, Will, for having me, and good luck for everything to you too, and stay safe.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description. Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we'll be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, wine businesses, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify.
Good day, everybody, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today I'm talking to Arco Laarman from Laarman Wines. Welcome to About the Winelands, Arco.
Hi. Well, thanks for having me on your talk.
No, thank you for taking the time. I know you're busy. I'd really love to know, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in winemaking and in the wine industry?
Yeah, look, funny enough, I'm not actually not from the Cape. There are a couple other winemakers that are not Capies, but I was born up in Joburg, in Roodepoort, and my brother was a Navy diver. We used to come on holiday a lot down to the Cape as a family when we used this flat. And towards the end of our school holidays, obviously, it's family outings. You followed the parents around. We ended up going to the winelands for a day, and I was at that time probably like 8 or 9. Walked into a cellar, and it must have been just before or after harvest. You can get a typical cellar smell. I'll never forget that. And I looked at this and never knew of it as a career choice. Even more so when I went back to school up in Joburg, and they didn't even know what it was. They thought winemakers were just like mechanics that work in the background. And I started in high school and was already reading the wine magazine. I remember the first one that came out was Peter Ferreira on the front cover. And yeah, my mom has always been very free to let us follow our own paths. And what happened is the plateau was still very thin in 95, and there wasn't emails yet. So we set up a letter and sent out faxes to potential farms that I just sort of earmarked in the plateau, and came up to Kaapstad, the Statler family. And I was obviously just out of matric, 19, and they took me on more. It was actually Ingvald, Dani's wife, that sort of pushed me more as help for Dani. Dani Senior had never had anyone before, and I then took a job there more as eyes for people stealing wine out the cellar. But it was then I actually ended up staying 3 years with them and became part of the family. And really, I'm very close to Dani Jr. We sort of brothers from another mother type thing, because he was in standard 7 or 8 when I met him. And when he realized that as a winemaking family, he took it for granted almost that you're born in this industry, but then he saw the passion that I had for not having that, call it generational right to take over a farm. And it really drove to him that he understood that he had a great opportunity within his family to start, and that's where he is, and he's doing a great job running the family business there now. Spent 3 years with them, and then worked for a mobile bottling company. Was very interesting. Got to meet a lot of different farms that you would not have necessarily have known from. That's how I met David from Glencarlo. They didn't have a bottling line at that time, and he sort of offered me a job after seeing how I worked on the line and that. And I was a little wary. I said no the first time, and then did a bottling again with him, and he sort of pressed again, and it's like, oh, and I said, okay, well, let's go for it. So then I actually, before starting at Glencarlo, which was middle of 99, I then went to America to Hess Collection, which was part of the Glencarlo group in those early years, and did a harvest there. And we started at Glencarlo in 2000, and then did vintages in Australia, France, Germany, and Austria over the couple of years. And then Glencarlo started getting quite large, and David Finnison, the whole farm was sold in the early the mid 2000s, and then David left in 2009, and I took over as head winemaker and continued there until 2016. The reason I left Glencarlo was I'd been there 17 years. It was like almost part of the furniture. And I decided if I don't do it now, I'll regret it. So I decided to start my own company, which was when I started Lahman Wines. First vintage was 2017. So I finished at Glencarlo at the end of 2016, and Lahman Wines is still, it's only year 3 now. But that's where I am. So I buy wines from different regions. I'd only worked with Paul grapes for so many years that it was not time to say, well, let's try and do Chardonnay from a cooler climate. There's a couple of independent that are multi-regional, which is also interesting, and it gives you a bit of diversification of working with a specific variety in a different area.
Wow, this is interesting. So I just want to know, Arco, if you knew from a young age that you're going to be in the wine industry. At what age did you start drinking wine?
It's funny. My parents were not big wine drinkers. My heritage is Dutch. Arco is obviously the unusual name. It's sort of a mix from Anco and Arno. And then Lahman. There's not many Lahmans in the country, but the interest I had actually sort of made interest in my parents, so that they live up. They moved to Cosmos in Hartbeespoort. They've got a beautiful guest house there. They actually literally put a cellar into the mountain for the guests, but for myself to play a bit. And yeah, I didn't actually drink a lot of wines until I started at Kaapstad. I would more manage their sort of cellar. So I would see certain wines ahead, and then let's keep that, and let's see if that's going to stay. And my dad also, I entered a Chateau Libertas box competition. Not box, I mean like a wooden box, not bag in the box, but it was a wine magazine competition. I had to use my dad's details because it was still underage. And then he got this letter that we were one of the 50 guys to win this box. And it's actually a beautiful Chateau Libertas vintage, when it still had those gold Superior stickers from 1982, 3, 4, 5, 6 vintages of 6 bottles. My dad almost threw it away because he thought it was a promotion, but then he actually saw that we won this thing. And it was me as a minor that's now trying to win competitions out of the wine magazine.
Well, that's fantastic. So tell us a bit, how you started Lahman Wines, the wines you are making, and also, your winemaking philosophy.
Look, a lot of it comes from my philosophy in wine is also more driven towards the varieties that I work with. To be fair, my company is only 3 years old now. There are certain wines and projects still up and coming, but obviously having spent 17 years at Glencarlo, Chardonnay became part of my blood. It was, it's obviously one of the strongest products for Glencarlo. And so Chardonnay is for me very important in my business. And I started, like I said, in the beginning of 2017. I had my sort of entry level, I've got 2 ranges. So I've got my entry level or mid range called Cluster Series, which was a Chardonnay from Pekingese Kloof. Well, the first year was actually from Elgin, and then the 17 is from Pekingese Kloof. And a Cab, which the initial vintage was Paul, and now it's Stellenbosch. And then my second range is the Focal Point wines. And those are very more site specific as well, with a Chardonnay from a region called Vermaaklikheid. I'm sure you've heard of it. They're near Riversdale on the Duivenhoek River. And then a Cinsault, which I did in 2017, which was Stellenbosch. In 2018 is Achterperl, beautiful bushvine stuff. And then an old wine Shannon from a block in Paul, as old as me. I was born in 1977, so it's a 43-year-old vineyard. And my philosophy is, look, keep things simple. It's interesting. I always dealt with, you get all the smoker coming to sell you additives and barrels and staves and this and that. And I believe that wine is a natural product. If you have good grapes, you can bring all the flavors you need direct from the vineyard by not having to add anything that you would maybe see in a cooperative situation. I do use cultivated yeast with my Chardonnay, because Chardonnay is a neutral variety. So I do experiment with different yeast strains. But otherwise, a lot of my stuff is also natural fermentation. But people must forget, people talk about natural wines, yeast is natural. So whether it's cultivated by Anchor, as long as it's not a GMO, it is the same thing as a natural yeast, but it's just gone through a process where it is more active than natural ones. But there's definitely differences in that, and I'd like to get diversity in my Chardonnay to get different flavor components out of it from the yeast and from the barrels.
Very interesting. You mentioned that you're looking at wines from different areas, and specifically wines that are grapes that come from a specific place. Can you explain to us what Cape Sites is and how that works?
It's called Cape Site Specific. It's a group that we started, me and probably about eight producers at the time. It was more about sharing a standard Cape wine, but as we know, wine is sold by stories and philosophies and that. And what we put together is a group that believe in wines with a sense of place. So to be part of this group, your wines have to qualify for their origins. So you can't have wines from Western Cape or blended between Paarl and Stellenbosch. The minimum criteria is that it must be at least wine of origin Stellenbosch, but the best thing is to go from there to Ward to as close as you can to single vineyard. So I have a wine that comes from a single vineyard, not it's not been certified yet for the 2020 vintage. It's a single vineyard, which is that old vine Shannon I was talking about. So the more specific you get and the more driven to the site is the story. So we're now on our 4th year together. Very different under the circumstances with COVID, where we're all working from home and talking to each other. It's funny, the winemakers are always very social people, and I actually went out yesterday to go and do something, but we don't see each other as much as we did in the past. But yeah, we're all like-minded and like to have wines with a sense of place. That's the most important message that we're trying to push through into the market.
So Cape Sites, is that official? Is that an organization with a brand? Is it branded, certified? Is it a non-profit? How does it work?
It's called Cape Site Specific, and it's set up as a company, as an organization, and we all of us pay a fee to be part of it. And if we want to do an event, then it's like pay as you go, in whether you want to do it or not. And look, the idea for us is actually sort of to have a good pool of money from all of us together, and then to invite people from overseas, and sort of work together with Woza to create content. Like the Swartland has done really, really well. Like, you need to create content in the industry to be able to tell your stories and that. So that's how it's been driven. It's not about making money. It's just about making it operate under our membership fees and what we're willing to take part in as a member.
So are the wines labeled in some way so that you can see it? How does the consumer know this comes, or is it how does that work at the moment?
We haven't gotten to that stage yet where we have a seal or something. It's not like the Old Vines group yet. But you bring up a good point. We don't have anything specifically on our labels yet that mention that. It's more about the events that we do together. But yeah, that is something we should look at maybe, is to add something onto the bottle that can at least bring you to the website to understand our philosophies, and that's similar to wine seal, the certification seal. Not everybody, we in the industry know what it stands for, but even the well-known wine drinker with knowledge doesn't fully understand what even the seals that we have on the labels actually represent. But that's all about getting the message out there, and that's yeah.
It's like you say, it's creating content and raising awareness. It's like anything, right?
Mm. Yes, yeah.
So, okay, your wines, where are you selling? Are you selling in the local market only? Are you exporting? How do you work?
I think we all know that the South African market is pretty flooded. I think if you think now, I think the latest number I heard was 6,000 different wines available under different brands and that type of thing. So my focus was really to drive the international market side. So my wines are local and international, but I'm really pushing on the export side. I export to Belgium, Mauritius, UK, trying to get into Holland, America I'm still working on. But yeah, export is important, but then local as well. But obviously being a small independent producer, I'm not going to be selling at the macros and doing pellet deals and that type of thing. So it's more your independent. So the well-known guys like Wine Menu up in Joburg, all the wine concept stores down here, 1 or 2 liquor cities, the well-known one in Claremont, Liquor City, he's got best range of wines, a largest range of wines and gins and all sorts of things. So he's always keen to take on new wines. And then obviously direct consumers, where we and any winery makes the best margins is with if you have a cellar door or do events that you drive your direct sales, which is something I'm very much focusing on, which I think we all are now in this COVID thing, is that online wine sales have increased dramatically, and online wine shops just trying to push those sales that you're not getting in the restaurants anymore, or the reduction of availability in the liquor stores, and only having a 5-day 4 days. You can only buy alcohol 4 days of the week. So yeah, it's, I don't know, for the bigger guys to work out budgets and that this year, I'm glad I know I've got only a certain amount of wine to sell, but for the big boys, it's a bit scary.
Yeah, then you don't want to sit with a cellar full of wine when you get your next harvest in, right?
No, exactly. Yeah.
I think what's interesting to me is that you mentioned direct to consumer, which you're right. It's growing a lot, but also you said events. So do you do pop-up tastings?
Yeah, I actually had just started that just before the lockdown. I did my first one at the winery where I buy the Chenin from. Then my idea was to do it at certain, either to use a restaurant or certain of the guys like the Sommelier Association in Stellenbosch, or a wine bar somewhere that uses my wines and that. So that was the idea, is once a month to do like a pop-up tasting, but that's all gone at the moment. So we don't know when we can all have a glass of wine together with a meal, or get together to do a tasting. So yeah, that is the way. I haven't been doing a lot of online Zoom meeting tastings, that type of thing. It's very difficult to do that as well. You can't drop everybody a bottle of wine. We're, as Cape Side, specifically trying to figure out, well, let's take a 750 ml bottle and put it into 50 ml little bottles and send it out, and you do a group tasting with someone. But it's logistics and timings and all of that. And to be fair, I think people being a bit overrun with some of these things maybe. So, but yeah, it's important to get to the direct consumer.
So besides that, I see on your website you also offer a winemaking consultancy service. I was wondering about that, and also, what other services do you offer?
Yeah, there's look, because I work for myself. I'm not as hectic as when I was working at Glencola. When I left there, I think we were bottling 650,000 bottles, which keeps one very, very busy. With myself, I utilize cellar space near me here in Paarl, so that keeps me busy maybe 2-3 days of the week. Obviously, wintertime is more quiet time for winemakers. You've got everything to barrel and everything self-fed up and everything safe. So I offer, any consultancy for small guys that don't have the budget for, say, only producing 5 or 10 tons for a small guest house winery or whatever. So I can do little parcels for them if they have their own vineyards. And then obviously anything from packaging for other people that are looking for a winemaker that can do everything from finding bulk wines, doing bottling for them, and so on. It hasn't been such an active part of my business, but there's sort of 2-3 people that I have as a concern that I do this for now, which is great. It sort of just puts a little bit more into the bank account without having to sell wine.
Interesting. So you've mentioned the coronavirus and the lockdown a bit, and I mean, it's forced all of us to actually rethink our business models. So do you have any changes or new ideas that came to mind while you were sitting there in lockdown?
Look, there's again, I'm really pushing on the export side. There's 1 or 2 new opportunities coming my way, which will really help, because obviously we for 2 months couldn't sell anything here locally, but like in the UK, there's online companies that have been selling throughout the lockdown, and it's been like Christmas for them for the last 3-4 months. So people are not going out, but people are ordering wine, and we weren't able to do that. So there is definitely a demand and a bit of a gap. Unfortunately, some people did lose the business due to those 2 months where they had potential listings with some of the larger Systembolaget in Sweden and whatever. But just really looking at again, like I said earlier, that is my model, is exporting, and just making that grow strength from strength in this environment at the moment.
So interesting to me is, it's European summer now, well, the whole Northern Hemisphere, and this is obviously a high consumption time. So what about logistics? If you get orders now, are you managing to get them out?
There's in general, there is a bit of a bottleneck at the harbour. But since the export allowance was lifted, that we can export again, I actually I sent some wine to Belgium, and it took the usual 3-week turnaround. It wasn't too bad. Obviously, if you want to still get into that rosé season for the UK, you want the stuff on the water now before their season stops. So I don't know. I don't do rosé yet. I'm looking at doing it possibly next year. But our timings have been out because those specifically those 2 months where we were not allowed to export. Definitely certain products, not only wine, but if you think of some of the beers and sort of ciders and things like that, they've lost a huge chunk of business because you've now something that should have been there 2 months ago is 2 months behind. So that's not easy.
Yeah, by the time it gets there, it's winter.
Exactly.
So that is an issue. So okay, you've had an interesting journey in the wine industry. What is the most important thing that you've learned so far from your wine journey?
Look, I said, the thing is that there's a lot of competition. That's I did know that before I started my own business. Winemakers can make wine, and we all can make wine, or estates can make wine, but it's another thing to sell it. It's a big part of our industry is marketing and being out there. So that's really been, it's not I'd say life lesson in the wine industry. It's definitely, I've known it as a learning curve that you're going to be marketing all the time. But I won't regret having gotten into the industry over over 20. When are we on? My first vintage I did was in '96. So yeah, it's a long time. I've been in PAL for 20 years. And me and my wife have now actually decided to move to a cooler area, and I think it's also more maybe part of my Chardonnay campus going on. We're going to be moving to Onrus, and I'll look at some area there to higher space and really look at cooler climate Chardonnay from Elgin or the Cape South Coast, getting a bit closer to for Marklecape, so I don't have to drive as far to get the grapes. And yeah, we'll hire over there for a year and see if it works. Our daughter is not old enough to get into school. Actually, I mean, she's still young enough before she needs to start anything. And yeah, I've got good friends there. Hannes Storm, obviously the Finnersons from Croatia, I know well. So if they can do it, I'm sure it's possible. So that's hopefully the next 20 years in my wine journey.
Well, I
just want at that.
I just wanted to ask you that because, I mean, you're still young and your business is even younger. So what is your long-term vision? Where are you going to take Larman Wines? What is your plan?
Yeah, obviously to make it as profitable as possible. What I've actually done with my packaging is, if you look at the labels, it's very much driven on the names. So you got Focal Point Chardonnay, and the story is specific variety from a specific region, and then the cluster series, which means cluster obviously means a bunch of grapes. So I need one berry can be perfect, but you need a whole cluster to fill a glass of wine, and even more so to fill a bottle. So I use my name to endorse my wines, but I think what my plan is in the next 20 years is that if I can push these wines, get the brands strong enough out there that they can actually be freestanding brands on their own, that I don't sell my name, but I can sell those brands to someone who's interested in increasing the size of it. Or I'd have to see if my daughter wants to get into wine, but she's only 3, so I'm not going to push her on whether she's going to be in my footsteps. But
it sounds like in your family I have to start drinking at 7, right? To be a winemaker, to be a winemaker at 16.
No. So we'll see. But hopefully, yeah. Obviously, we all want to put food on our plates and have a comfortable life. And the wine industry can do that if you just keep your nose to the grindstone, create quality wines that people enjoy, and look at old vines as becoming quite a strong marketing part of South Africa. And maybe get more involved in that, looking at different regions. If you look at Chris Arlight, he lives in that area that I'm talking about, Onrus, but he's buying grapes from all the way up in Pekingese Kloof and all over. So he's also a bit more multi-regional. So that's the different side of being sort of the old 1980s landgoed or estate wines. But yeah, we'll see what happens in 20 years. We can have this conversation in 5 or 10 years from now again. It doesn't have to be that long, but hopefully I'm staying on a stronger foot, or we all are.
Yes, I really hope so. Can you give us your very own wine quote?
Yeah,
your favorite one.
I was struggling a little bit with that. My wife, I do tend to have a good sense of humor sometimes when get put in a spot, but obviously Chardonnay is a very big part of me, and there was that time when I was traveling in the US, or actually it's the US is part of the problem, is that they were making these heavy Chardonnays, over wooded, over full malolactic fermentation, too much buttonage. They made these wines that were so planky and dry that you need like 3 glasses of water with a glass of wine. And there was a stage that I'm sure you know of called ABC, anything but Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm trying to see, which I did in the years of Glencairn, is reduce the wood. It needs to be part of it, but create wines with a bit more finesse. Even more so now, working with this for Marklecape stuff, where it's on strong limestone soils, 8 kilometer meet as a crow flies to the sea. Making Chardonnays with finesse and changing the ABC anything but Chardonnay to always buy Chardonnay.
There we go. I like that.
So that's what I'm going for.
That's your quote. Always
Yeah.
buy Chardonnay. I love it. So, thank you very much for spending the time here. Our listeners are sitting here and they want to get hold of you, want to order your wines. How do they do that?
There's a couple of options now. Obviously, directly from me, it's www.larmanwines.com is the website, and then all the outlets I mentioned earlier, and then also recently just started with Shopstar. That's also the online way to get it, and I do tend to do my own delivery still at the moment. So if you do buy, you might actually still get to meet the winemaker dropping the wine themselves. So, but yeah, maybe direct is probably best. So look at larmanwines.com and click on to the order sheet, and me or my wife will email within a day usually, and then get the wines out. Depending on this lockdown, because you're not allowed to move it around after Thursday, but usually if one orders on a Monday, Tuesday, you'll still get it before you can't have it on Thursday after evening at 5 o'clock or whatever.
I think what you're talking about now is obviously within striking distance of Paul. What happens if people order from the outskirts of the country or even in Gauteng? How do you manage that?
Well, look, Gauteng is courier service, and that's I would say with the lockdown rules, maybe a week. Otherwise, recommend them going to the likes of Wine Menu, and one or two guys are there. But the best is Dry Dock Liquors as well. They also have my wines. You can still do a week's turnaround. Once you start moving out the country, maybe more like 2 weeks and that type of thing.
Okay, awesome. Arco, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. We'll put all the links down in the description. And yes, I'm sure people will find this interesting. Good luck with everything you're doing, and with your move to Honors. And thanks for chatting to us. And we'll definitely chat again in future.
Perfect. No, thanks for your time as well. And hopefully, I was seeing some of my wine friends yesterday. We're saying we're only going to get together at a restaurant when they allow us to have a glass of wine again. I don't know who's going to go out to a steakhouse or something and sit and drink a Diet Coke or something. You need that glass of wine or a beer, that thing. So I'm hoping for the restaurant side that this rule will be lifted quite soon as well.
Or even worse, who goes to a wine estate and don't drink wine if you go out for lunch?
Yeah, yeah, shame. That's the thing, is even if I was at Glencalu 2 weeks ago, yeah, they're also saying that they probably won't open the restaurant until they have got full option for people to be able to drink wines on the premises.
Arco, thank you very much.
Thanks, hey.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description. Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for your latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today, I'm talking to Marcus Swemberger. Marcus is the General Manager at the Devon Valley Hotel. Welcome, Marcus, and thanks for talking to us on About the Winelands.
Thank you. Well, now I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
It's our pleasure. How are you coping with the lockdown situation here in South Africa?
Well, it's not only in South Africa; it's a worldwide phenomenon. So yeah, I'm coping. I'm personally coping. Yes, I keep busy at home with homeschooling and some small activities that we do at home with the children. But otherwise, yeah, it's the industry itself is obviously rough. It's really rough. As you know, the hospitality and the travel sections. It's a huge challenge, but I'm coping. Yes, thanks, Will.
Excellent. So tell us, Marcus, how did you get involved in this industry, and tell us a bit about yourself and history and stuff.
Well, my history, maybe here in the accent, I'm from Europe. I'm from Austria, and I fell in love with South Africa back in '96. You know, and then I came to the Cape, and I just immediately fell in love with this place. You know, and it's just beautiful. The people are lovely. The food, the wine. It's been just an incredible journey for me. And I'm actually come from a chefing background. I've been a executive chef in this hotel for 14 years. I've been worked around the world. I worked in Cape Town. I worked in restaurants and hotels. So the wine industry is actually fairly new to me. You know, like even though I've been working and pairing and playing with wine, but the wine industry as a whole is actually quite new to me.
Well, that's it. That's awesome. So, so you moved here 14 years ago. Where did you obviously you worked in Europe before that, right?
I worked in Europe. I worked in Austria. I did my training. I worked in Germany, in Switzerland, in Israel, in America, in the UK, in France. So I was a real sort of traveling youngster until I met the right Macy, as you say, and then the rest is history. And I'm now settled in Somerset West. We've got a house. We've got beautiful children, and we got a bond. We got lots of debt. So all the normal things.
Okay, awesome. That's fantastic. So, I mean, the Devon Valley Hotel is in one of it's such a beautiful place, the whole Devon Valley. You know, tell us a bit of the history of the hotel.
Well, Devon Valley, yeah, it is an amazing place. I've been here for 15 years, 14 years as the executive chef, now 1 year as the general manager. So the hotel's history actually stretches back to 1947, and it's an interesting, it's a fascinating story. It was the family who owned this piece of land. They bought the whole cedar wood from Cape Town. It was a shipwrecking in Cape Town Harbor, and they bought all of this wood and they built this beautiful hotel back in 1947. And it had a couple of owners changes, and since 2003, the Louis family has it, and they refurbished the hotel. And it's in a beautiful state now. You know, the gardens are lush and beautiful. It's been completely remodeled. We got 50 rooms. We've got 6 conference facilities. We've got a beautiful vineyard terrace. So on a bright summer's day, it's just the views are really breathtaking. You feel like you're sitting middle in the vineyards. You overlook the Devon Valley. You overlook the Helderberg Mountains. It's a spectacular view. It really is. It's world class. The only view who makes this is the beautiful Devon Mountain, but everything else is just it's breathtaking. Working here, and it's breathtaking sitting here on the terrace and enjoy some sundowners. So as soon as the lockdown is over, I hope you're going to keep it up and running again.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the view from there is just unbelievable. And like you say, you know, you've got accommodation there. Actually, when people get married there, a lot of times the guests and everyone stay overnight, I would assume.
That's right. No, it's our wedding industry. It's big. It's huge. You know, so we've got we actually before the lockdown we started clearing up a little wooded area on the back of the property, and we're gonna incorporate this into our wedding venues. It's gonna be stunning. Right? It's gonna be right in the woodlands, you know, like of Devon Valley. So I'm really excited. Our plans are just huge. What we want to do on this property, and just the wedding is one of them. So we're gonna be offering numerous different packages. And the one thing exciting thing what we're doing at the hotel as well, we actually help you to finance the wedding. So in the future, if you have a wedding here and the lockdown is over and we're all up and running, come and chat to us, and we're offering that we can actually finance the wedding for you. So this is actually an exciting sort of thing we're planning to do. And the setting is going to be stunning. There we have the ceremony going to be on our manor lawns. You overlook the Helderberg Mountains. when his woodlands is carved out and we finish with it in hopefully, yeah, I don't know when now, but it's going to be stunning. It's really going to be stunning.
Well, that's an awesome offering, financing weddings, and thinking now about, I mean, you're one of the few hotels in around that area where people can actually have quite, a fairly large event. Besides weddings, I assume you're focusing on the conferencing market as well.
Yeah, no, it's our bread and butter, Bill. We have 6 conference facilities, and again, we just upgraded the facilities. We've got it's our bread and butter. In winter months, we don't experience a large drop like other hotels do because our corporate business is very strong throughout the year. And we have six conference facilities. We've got our 80-seater is our biggest seater of our venue. We've got numerous breakaway venues. And yeah, this is going to be after lockdown. This is going to be our focus. At the local business, and we're gonna pick up where we left off, but we're going to be all guns blazing. We are ready to go.
Well, in terms of conferencing, I want to ask you, because obviously this is something that you mentioned, the whole tourism winter. Cape Town has managed as a city to fight that off by, with the convention center and with all the conferences stuff going on, and you seem to do the same. But when the lockdown lifts, I assume your offering is going to be targeted at first more to locals rather than overseas tourists or overseas conferencing, right?
Yes, now 100% will. Yeah, I listened, I think yesterday or the day before, to the minister speak, and we don't expect a lot of international travel before December. So it's a killer for the hotel industry. So our main focus, our only focus, will be the local market. It will be the corporate market. It will be the locals. It will be the support locally.
So do you have any plans to attract local corporates? Any new ideas? You're not going to focus. Are you going to focus? Are you going to finance conferences as well?
No, not gonna. Yeah. No, look, we have a marketing lady, and it's going to be an aggressive marketing campaign. Not only social media. Social media is great, but you need to go out there. You need to sell the place actively. We have one lady, a marketing lady, and as soon as she's allowed to go out, she will be doing exactly that. There's lots of small businesses, medium businesses in the Stellenbosch area, Somerset West area, and we will be targeting.
Yeah.
So we will be offering special packages. There is things on the pipeline. We're busy working online. How we can streamline the operation, how we can offer, how we can attract corporate and a business to the hotel. Now we are busy with that, but it's difficult to plan ahead at the moment. It's just difficult to see what direction is everything going. Every day things changes, and so we put things we put things on paper, and then it all changes. Then it all changes again. So at the moment it's definitely a wait and see approach, but when the time comes, we will be ready. That's for sure.
I think that's the one thing that the businesses hate most is uncertainty, but. One thing that I found certain at your hotel is going to be something interesting. And the last time I was there was about a few weeks before the lockdown, and I saw that you still you have some cats there in your lounge. It seems to have been there. I'm certain they've been there forever. What's the story about the cats?
It's funny that you mentioned that. We have one local cat. It was with us now for 6 months. It's a youngster, and just this last 3 weeks since I'm in contact with the person who looks after the property, there's 2 more kittens have just arrived. So we actually got 3 cats at the moment. So 2 kittens and 1 older cat. So yes, yeah, that's cats and Devon Valley. It goes together.
It does go together, yes.
Yeah.
So the other thing that is interesting that you offer that's a bit different is in your lounge or bar. I'm not sure what you call it. You've got a whiskey tasting. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, Cedarwood Lounge. Yeah, no. We've got 150 different single malt whiskies on offer. This is mostly Scottish whiskey, but we do offer Irish whiskies, and we offer some exotic whiskies. We got whiskies from India, Japan, Sweden, and Taiwan, and obviously the local whiskey, the Three Ships whiskey range we have, and some American bourbons we have as well. So our whiskey range is huge. It's one of the biggest in the Western Cape. It used to be the biggest, but I think there's other properties. They're quite big as well now, so it is definitely one of the biggest whiskey range, and it's super popular. It's really popular. And we're offering food and wine pairings. We have a new executive chef, and our whiskey range, it is more a focus on the New World whiskies. So the New World whiskies just have more flavor, and it's just a more fun whiskey, if this makes any sense. And so is our cannabis. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be just a little bit different. And that's what we're aiming for. Maybe I can just introduce Andrew Jordan. He's only started with us beginning of March. He's in lockdown as well. He's roaring to go. He got all those ideas, and he's the executive chef we appointed the beginning of March, and he's got wonderful experience. He was for 14 years in the UK and worked for the Sheraton Group, for the Conrad Group, and so he is planning and menus are ready. So now he's pairing it with the whiskey. So it's all good. It's all good.
Well, that's awesome. At least this time can be used for a bit of planning, right? And I know dates are difficult, but at least, like you say, you can plan venues and you can plan new products and new offerings. So at least that's one good thing.
It's one good thing, yes. And I'm like that. Like I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing, and then all the work is just about done. There's only so many menus you can design. So now we're just hoping that the minister does us all a big favor, just lift this lockdown soon.
I'll hope so too. So the other thing that I've noticed is lately, I'm not sure how long you guys have been producing wine, but can you tell us a bit more about the wines you're producing and also the winemaking philosophy at the farm?
Well, I can tell you my winemaking philosophy. This is the best way you learn about wine is to drink it. So, but we are having. The hotel is mostly focused obviously on hospitality, but we have 3 different cultivars on the estate. We have the Bush Shannon, the Cab, and the Pinot Noir. But we don't make our own wines anymore. For the last couple of years, we went into partnership with the Middelflay estate. We buy wine from them, and our neighbor. Dion Schubert, he's looking after our vineyards and looks after them. So in the past we used to make our own wines with the Silverbell and the Ghost Tree range, but at the moment currently we don't, and we buy actually our wines from Middelflay. We went into partnership with them a couple of years ago.
But you make the wines under your own brand, right?
We make the wines under our own brand. Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So where are your wines sold? Mostly in your restaurant, or are you selling in the local market?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Mostly in our restaurant, only at the hotel.
So as a chef, how important would you say? I mean, you just told me your background is you've been a chef all those years. So the wine experience that the diner will have with his food, how important is that for the experience?
Well, we have we are in the wine industry. Even though we are a hotel and our focus is hospitality and it is corporate, and but it's a wine. It's our makeup. It's part of who we are. When you come to the hotel and you overlook the vineyards, you sit in the vineyards. So we're offering a huge variety of wines. The list is endless, but our focus will always be Devon Valley, will always be Stellenbosch, will always be local. So we have Devon Valley flights we're offering from the Louisville range to the Middelflay to the Clonmalvern. We're offering all the Devon Valley, and this all the Devon Valley wines. And this is what we are pushing. I think we have an excellent relationship with all our neighbors. The offering is called a Devon Valley Tea Tour package. So when the guests come here, they can come to the valley and to come to all the different estates. They can eat and they can drink and they can experience the Devon Valley in a quite unique sort of way. And it's a fantastic offering. It's very reasonably priced as well. It's just to bring a local awareness to the Devon Valley. And I think it's working really nicely.
I think that's important that you say, you're working with the locals there, like Clonmalvern and all those people are making, all of them have a different and fantastic offering. But the Devon Valley, like you say, as an area, is such a nice offering that it has as a group. So it's important that you collaborate together. But the other important thing is, especially for your conference as well, you're only about 4 or 5 kilometers out of Stellenbosch, which is also important.
That's right. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. You know, and there's like, so we are away from the city, but we are still very close to the city. You know, so you get the feeling of the vineyards, you get the feeling of countryside. So it makes the people feel relaxed. You know, we not only do with the corporates, and we work with the corporates. So we're offering for working cost challenges. We're offering braais. We're offering the full range of catering, and it makes a difference. You know, when people come, because people come to work, but at the same time they come to relax. So it's like a package we offering, but it comes naturally. You know, like so people don't have to pay anything extra. They just come here and they naturally relax because they're in the vineyards, and and it works. You know, like so we get lots of support from the local medium small businesses, and it works.
So, Marcus, I also noticed on your website that you have a few social responsibility initiatives. Can you tell us a bit more about those?
Yes, yeah, now we do. And the main social responsibility, what we're doing is the Louis family, is the Louis Group Business Academy. So we have about 280 students coming throughout the year through this academy. It's to learn about business, ethical business. The Louis Group is sponsoring that, and they're coming to Devon Valley. Like so, it's a great initiative to learn about business, to learn about the way the Louis family does business. But we do other charitable events throughout the year. But it's then more on the basis what comes to us, what's happening. If there's a crisis somewhere, then we're going to jump in and be helping. But obviously, as social initiatives, we still promote water savings, and with all our guests, we still promote social awareness, what's happening in South Africa, and it's basically our drive. So our main drive is the Louis Group Business Academy.
That's interesting. So, you know, talking about the other social awareness thing we're talking about now is the coronavirus, right? And it's forced all of us to rethink our business models. So, do you have any changes or new ideas in mind in your business model?
Well, I'm a Christian, and I'm personally on my knees and I'm praying so much more than I used to. And I know the Louis family, they're strong believers. They feel the same. The whole business model is based on strong Christian ethos. But we all know we have to do things differently going into the future. It's not going to be the same for quite a long time. You know, even though we have these beautiful refurbished conference facilities, we have this beautiful hotel in the middle of the vineyards. But in order to create business again, we have to think differently. We have to think out of the box. We're having online brainstorming session. We go to these webinars. We educate ourselves. But it is a learning journey for me, big time. I think for many of us sitting in this industry, hospitality industry, it's a learning curve. Try to keep our staff employed, and as maybe I can mention it as well. I really want to honor the Louis family when it comes to that. We haven't had a single retrenchment. We keep everybody on the payroll. So it's been amazing actually. The family is really looking after the staff really well. So but really it's a learning curve, and I'm learning every day. So Corona it's a headache, but it's not going to kill us.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and you know, it's important, like you say, that you have the right philosophy and mindset to get through all of this. Talking about that, your whole journey through the hospitality industry, you know, through first as a chef and your life journey. What is the most important thing that you've learned?
What I've learned, well, I've learned since I'm at this hotel that wine makes every meal an occasion. It's every table more elegant, and every day a little bit more civilized. Like I learned to love wine. I love to. Even at home, I love playing with food, match it with the wine. So it's a love. It's ingrown. And like I said, it's part of me.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Marcus, if people are listening to this and they want to book their wedding, or they want to come and visit you guys, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, at the moment, we are still in lockdown, but we are available on our websites there, or on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We are doing social media launches on a regular basis. So it's but as soon as we open up again, you can visit us. I'm here at the hotel Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 days. We've got banking coordinators, we've got booking agents. So you come to visit and we will help you. So and come and experience them, really. Come and experience our terrace. Come and experience the food we are offering. You know, like there's, when you go on our website, we can only sell so much. When you come here and to see who we really are, this handmade hospitality we try to sell to our guests and our clients. It's tangible. When you come here, it is tangible. You can feel it. And I think over the years, you know, like we can show the success. We can show what truly handmade hospitality is all about.
That's awesome. I mean, Marcus, it's been a pleasure. Thank you we'll put the links to all of this obviously in the description, but thank you for taking the time and chatting to us. And I think everybody listening to this can't wait to get to the Devon Valley. I can tell you myself that view from your terrace is one of my favorite views in the world. So, definitely looking forward to seeing you guys. And yeah, thank you for spending the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Cheers, Will. Appreciate it.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description. Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for your latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast.
Good day, everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today, I'm speaking to Liam Tomlin. He's the owner and founder of Chef's Warehouse. How are you, Liam? Welcome to About the Winelands.
Thanks, Will. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging times we are in, and especially with you being in the restaurant business. So,
yeah,
I can believe it must be hard.
It is. It's quite difficult, but we're taking it day by day. There's nothing really else we can do. We're doing our best to hold on to all our staff. Yeah, it's a challenge. It really is.
Liam, how did you tell us a bit to our listeners who would be interested here? How did you get involved in the restaurant and the food industry?
Wow. I started an apprenticeship when I was 14 years of age in Dublin. So I left school very early. I started actually washing pots in a hotel in Dublin, and then it just grew out of there. The chef offered me a position, and I worked as a young chef in Dublin for a few years, and then I went to London and Switzerland, and sort of, when I got to Switzerland, the penny sort of dropped for me that I really wanted to be a chef. Before that, I was just doing it as a job to make money. But then when I went to Switzerland, I just, totally fell in love with the career. But
That's amazing.
hindsight's a great thing. Looking at it now, owning 6 restaurants, probably not the best business to be in. But anyway, no, it's been a brilliant industry to be in. I've had an amazing career so far, and I'm sure we'll continue to have an amazing career once we get back on track after this virus.
I think times will be difficult, but human behavior does not change that quickly. I mean, we've gone through 2 world wars and a lot of other stuff. So let's hope that things, will go on its merry way very soon.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you share a bit of history about the Chef's Warehouse brand? I mean, I saw that I saw that after Switzerland, did you go to Australia, if I'm right? And you also won some awards there.
Yeah, I had a restaurant. I moved to Australia. I lived there for 15 years. So I lived in Melbourne for 2 years, and then moved to Sydney and lived there for 13 years.
Wow.
And we had several restaurants there, but we had one called Bank, which was, that was the one that sort of put us on the map. We won a lot of awards in Australia for that, which was fantastic. It was an amazing restaurant. And we had it for 6-7 years.
Wow.
It was very cool. It was a great restaurant.
Why did you make you move to South Africa?
Originally, I went to Australia for a year, and ended up staying for 15. And that business in Australia, I was in a partnership that went a bit pear-shaped. So I decided I didn't want to stay. I never really originally wanted to go to Australia. So I agreed with my wife to go for a year. And like I said, we stayed for 15. And I decided it was time for a change. And we'd been to South Africa once before and absolutely loved it. And I wanted a lifestyle very similar to what we had in Australia as far as climate and lifestyle and whatever. And we came to Cape Town, and best move ever. Love it here.
Amazing. You sound like that. You sound like a typical South African immigrating to Australia. The lifestyle and the sunshine.
Yeah, you know what they say, the grass is always greener on the other side. But when you get there, you still have to cut the grass. It grows. And, quite honestly, Australia is a wonderful place, but I love it here in South Africa. I really do.
Yeah, what a fantastic country we have.
Yeah.
Can you share a bit of the history of how you started Chef's Warehouse and the brand and,
Chef's Warehouse was originally, it was a cookery school and a retail store for cookbooks and kitchen equipment. And then where where Chef's Warehouse now, the original one on Bree Street, that venue came available, and I always loved that space. And we decided to move venues, and it wasn't in the planning. It wasn't to open a restaurant. It was still going to be a cookery school. We were going to expand the deli side of the business and the product range and everything. And then, I don't know, we had a few seats and we decided we'd do like a light lunch, and we opened the first day. Second day, I think we were full, and it just the cookery school sort of never happened, and it ended up turning into what it is today. So it was just purely by moving location. I mean, the location for me, I love that space in the original Bree Street space. And it just grew out of that. And then it became extremely, extremely popular. And we had a whole little menu going on, but we offered part of that menu was tapas for 2. And after a couple of weeks, we discovered that's all that people were ordering. So we decided to do tapas for 2, and that's been the concept ever since.
So where did you get this tapas influence? Because it seems I saw that was a as a kind of a golden thread through your restaurants.
Yeah, it was just, when we were in Sydney and we had that restaurant bank, that was very fine dining, very top end, very labor intensive, and it was very French influenced. So you were very sort of restricted in as far as what ingredients you could use and what techniques you could use, etc. So I just, firstly, I like eating the way we serve our food. So lots of different flavors and sharing. So I love that whole concept. And I didn't want to be restricted to, I didn't want it to be like a typical classical Spanish tapas. So, we can go in and we can choose what we want to cook on a daily basis, whether it be Japanese influenced or Asian or Indian or Italian or whatever we want, whatever is available to us as far as ingredients. And it just gives us so much flexibility, keeps it interesting for the guys in the kitchen because they're learning something on a daily basis. And it also keeps it interesting for guests that they're coming back and we're forever changing our menu. I mean, it changes on a daily basis. Not in all our restaurants, but in Bree Street, it changes on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. You also have restaurants in the Winelands. Tell us about that.
We have 3. We've got one, Bo Constantia, up in Constantia. We've got another Chef's Warehouse at Maison in Franschhoek. And then we recently opened a restaurant with Neil and Tina Jewell up on the Spice Root Farm in Paarl called Jewels. So yeah, I love the restaurants out in the Winelands. It's just, they're all set in these most beautiful settings. It's just really, really beautiful spaces. I love them. Yeah, I really do. I love the ones in the city, but I also love driving out to the Winelands, and it's just a completely different atmosphere. And we're blessed with some of the most beautiful countryside in the world. I think when you go to Paarl and Franschhoek and drive up through Constantia Neck, I mean, Cape Town is just such a beautiful city.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, and also, you have this advantage almost of a cross sell. If people come to your Bree Street restaurant, you can say to them, "Go try our restaurant in this place," because then they want to visit those places anyway, and it would be great.
Absolutely. I mean, the tourists will often have people who come to Cape Town from wherever, UK, America, Holland, and they will eat in all 5 restaurants during a week or 10 days. And that's very special to me.
Well, that must make you feel proud, right?
I mean, the great thing about Chef's Warehouse is they're all individual. There's no 2 the same. We're doing completely different thing. I've got brilliant chef partners, Ivor Jones, Dave Schneider. We've got Nanda Cadasso at Bree Street. I've got JP and Nate up at Tali, and then obviously Neil Jewell. And I mean, they're all very talented young chefs and all very different, but and all brilliant cooks. So everywhere you go is very, very different. So, but you can, there is a common thread through our restaurants.
Well, that's amazing. So what you're telling me is you have a philosophy that is the thread, but it doesn't really feel like a chain.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, it's very important for me. I stepped out of the kitchen. I'm still very involved with the restaurants on a daily basis, but I stepped out of the kitchen a little bit over 2 years ago, maybe a little longer, to focus more on the business side of it and to focus on the opportunities that come our way. And it's very important for me that, it's not Liam Tomlin Chef's Warehouse. Every Chef's Warehouse, whoever works there gets the credit for what they do. I founded the brand and the concept, but these guys are the ones who should take all the credit because, like I said, they're very talented individuals.
Well, that's amazing. You also, another fantastic city, of course, is Barcelona, and you ventured into Barcelona. Can you tell us a bit more? That sounds very exciting.
Barcelona is run by 2 chefs who used to work for us in Bree Street. And one of them, Angelo Scirocco, worked with us for about, I think he was with us for close on 2 years. And he went over to Barcelona to do some work for me with our business partner, and my landlord in Bree Street has hotels just outside Barcelona. And Angelo went over there to do a little bit of work for her to help. And he fell in love with a young Spanish girl, and he phoned me up and he said he didn't want to come back and he wanted to open a restaurant. And that's how it came about. So I said to him, okay, go find a space. And he honestly walks the streets of Barcelona. He went to college every morning to learn the language. He speaks fluent Spanish now, writes it. Incredible young guy. And he phoned me one day, he says, I found the space, and himself, myself, and my landlord from Bree Street are equal partners in that restaurant. And it's hugely, hugely successful, obviously, until we got undone with this virus. But he'll be back in a couple of weeks, hopefully. And he's a seriously talented guy.
Well, amazing story, right? A love story that ends in a restaurant is something that has to be told until you're old, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's a true story. He fell in love with this young girl, and she's lovely. I've met her. I've been over there. And he said he's staying. So, and he's happy, and he has a European passport, so there was no issues regarding visas or if he could stay or not. So he's very, very happy.
So I see you also have a pantry and a bookshop. So tell us a little bit more about that. I saw somewhere that you wanted to build the biggest cookery bookshop in South Africa or in Africa.
Yeah, that was our plan. I mean, I think we've probably got one of the biggest selections of cookbooks on offer. It's located at Bree Street, and it's part of the retail section of what we do. So we do in both Maison, Bree Street, and in Jules up on the Spice Route, we do retail in the restaurants also. So we sell all food related things and especially cookbooks. But we don't do any of the, the TV stuff, the Jamie Olivers or the Nigellas or anything like that. It's all very much, I'm not saying they're not professional, but we don't do mass market stuff. We do very boutique-y, artisanal cookbooks. So if you're looking for something out of the ordinary, if we don't have it, we'll get it for you.
Interesting. So you've also written your own books. Can you tell us a bit more about those?
I've written 5 books, I think, and I'm in the process now of doing the 6th one. So I've been trying to do it while we've been in closed down during this, but I just can't focus. It's too hard to concentrate on anything at the moment. But I'm doing a book at the moment, which is going to be published by Penguin later this year. And it's basically a book about our 5 restaurants here. And it's a chapter on each of the chefs and their food and their philosophy and all about our, how we operate as a business, each individual chef's philosophy, all about our suppliers, our ingredients, sustainability. So it's a photographic journey through a day in the life of a kitchen. But we've got an amazing young photographer, a lady called Claire Gunn, who used to be a chef herself. So she completely understands the runnings of a kitchen, completely gets food. So it's an absolute pleasure. And it's not your typical book where we stylize everything. Claire just goes in and shoots from 7 in the morning to 11 at night. And she shoots everything as it is, as it's going out to the restaurant, as it's served to the guest, whatever. There's no frilling it up. It's really in your face kitchen stuff, but it's brilliant. It's really, I think it's going to be the best book we've ever done. And then we've got a book. Yeah, it's really, it's very exciting. Then we've got another book that's been republished. It's on its 2nd print run now, and it should be, I think it's released in June again through Penguin. And it's called Tapas, and it's based on Bree Street. So we published that about 4 or 5 years ago. So we've redone it. We've put some new dishes in, took some of the old one out, put some new shots in it, etc. So we've sort of refreshed it, republished it. So that should be out hopefully in June.
Okay,
If
awesome.
the bookstores are open, then we'll be out.
Yeah, that's a different story, right? We'll come to that a bit later. What is
Otherwise,
the?
I'll be selling it at the traffic lights.
I'm sure you'll get some buyers. What is the Ginger and Lime's cooking school?
Ginger and Lime is a very dear friend of mine, Denise Levy, and it's she set up a cookery school probably 3 or 4 years ago, and she started it in her home in Fresnay, and I used to do quite a few classes with her. But it's a beautiful space where you can either come and see a chef like myself do cooking demonstrations, or there's lots of other people who come and do demos, or you can hire it out and do hands-on cooking with Denise and her team, or you can hire it as a space just for, if you want to do a work event or a team building event or anything like that. And now she's opened a second one called Kitchen Collective, and that's in the Bocop. So it's a much bigger space. But it's basically, she's not a chef by profession. She's just got a real passion for food, and she just always had a dream of opening up her own cookery school. And she did it a couple of years ago. It's hugely successful. And she's just published her own book, her own cookbook as well, with her favorite recipes from her travels and from her cookery schools.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, she's a very special woman.
Your cooking philosophy, where did that come from, and what is your cooking philosophy?
Quite honestly, you'll get a lot of chefs who say they were cooked with their grandmother or whatever. I none of that. I mean, I was brought up in Ireland. It was very basic food. It was,